Okay, the title of today's notes, we are live here, we are live. The titles of today's notes is Factoring, okay, with negatives. That's what I'm going to call it. Factoring with negatives, okay? And what's basically going to happen is we remember, okay, we'll say back in the day, buffet, back in the day, buffet, okay, we kind of did something like this, x squared plus 18x plus 32, okay? So we said, okay, how do we factor this? And it's not really back in the day buffet, it was actually like 12 hours ago you learned that, but that's okay. So what are we going to do with this problem? Can we get some insight here from our live studio audience? Yes. We need a number that multiplies to 32 and it adds to 18 actually, right? So don't miss that 18. Okay, so who's thinking of some numbers? Who's got some numbers that multiply to 32? Anything that multiplies to 32 will do, because I'm just going to go ahead and make a little table here. So I want numbers that multiply. Maybe even a wrong number would be good. Anybody got a wrong one? Give me something that multiplies to 32, Jimmy. 6 times what? No, that's 36, man. Ryan. 16 times? Ah, dang it. He's already arrived at the right answer. Too fast. 8 and 4. And what's another one? You got one? 32 and 1 maybe? Yeah. Okay. Well, the thing is, this adds to 18. This adds to 12. This adds to 33. So clearly we want 16 and 2. And we go like this and we say it's x plus 2, x plus 16 in either order. Are there questions about that part? Okay. So let's say we understand this, and we understand it needs to multiply to the last number, it needs to add to the middle number. Well, what types of problems have we not really seen yet? We're going to call this EX1, example 1 of the new type. X squared minus 2x, okay, plus, minus, 24. Okay, here's where it gets real, people. It gets real fast. What is the format that we want this answer to be in, okay? Go ahead. D-foil. So x and x, 2 sets of parentheses, and it needs to multiply to the number. Why don't we all say it together? It needs to multiply to? Oh. Needs to multiply to negative 24. Let's try that again. It needs to multiply to negative 24. Okay. And it needs to add to negative 2. Okay, so if it's going to multiply to a negative, yeah? It's going to multiply to a negative. Is it going to be a positive times a negative times a negative, a positive times a positive? What of those options would it be? Take a second, think, pause the video if you must, and think about what that answer is going to be. Yes, it has to be a positive times a negative, because otherwise it doesn't multiply to a negative. Is that correct? So 1 is positive, 1 is negative. This is how we think this through, okay? So positive, negative, okay, good. Now we have to think about what numbers can multiply to 24. So somebody give me some numbers that multiply to 24. Sam. 2 and 12. So we have some other options. We have 2 and 12, 4 and 6, 8 and 3, 24 times 1. Okay, now, look at those numbers, guys. If I choose 2 and 12, let's just guess 2 and 12. Let's just guess it. 2 goes here, 12 goes here. What is positive 2 and negative 12? It's negative 10. That's not good because we wanted negative 2, right? So we don't want that. So what if maybe the 2 is supposed to go here and the 12 is supposed to go there? What about positive 12 and negative 2? What's that? Positive 10? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say 2 and 12. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and say 2 and 12 are out. They are not the right answer. So I'm going to get rid of them, and they're going to go into what I like to call the number graveyard, people. So we make the number graveyard over here. Rest in peace, okay? And that is the number graveyard. Okay. So which ones do we want to try now? Madison. 4. Oh, okay, 24 and 1. So just for the heck of it, 24 and 1. 24 and negative 1 is 23, yeah? And that's not good because 23 isn't what we want. We want negative 2. So negative 23 if we do it this way, right? So these numbers have to go into the number graveyard as well. And now I'm looking for the next option. Okay, hang on a second. We don't want the whole entire graveyard filling up, people. So let's try, yes, 4 and 6. So I'm going to go ahead and try 4 and 6. Here's what I've got. Have I arrived at the correct answer yet? What's the problem here? Yes. Because what happens if we take positive 6 and negative 4? That gives you positive 2, yeah? So clearly we have an issue there. We need to switch the 6 and the 4. That gives us negative 2. This is our final answer. We're done. Okay? How are we feeling about that? Not bad? Okay, so we're in pretty good shape here. Let's try another couple examples. We're going to try a couple here. At this time, I encourage you to pause the video and try these two problems. So we have x squared plus 5x minus 14, and we have x squared minus 13, plus 30. So think about the format that it has to be in, think about what it multiplies to, what it adds to, and try these two problems. Now, if this is brand new to you, you might find this to be pretty challenging, but you know, we only grow from challenging ourselves. So pause the video and give these two a shot, and then we will see where we're at. Okay, so you pause the video and you try these problems, and now we're going to see if you understand the topic. It's a brand new topic. We're going to see if you understand what's going on with this, or if you're having some trouble. So we get x and x. What's going to multiply to negative 14? Well, I'm thinking it's either 14 and 1, or it's 7 and 2. Now we know if it's going to multiply to a negative, it has to be a negative times a positive. So I put a negative and a positive into my parentheses. And I say, okay, well, I think 14 and 1 is not really going to help out. So 7 and 2 is going to be where it's at. Because 14 and 1 is going to be like 13 or 15. 7 and 2 could give me 5. So if I put 7 here and I put 2 here, I wind up with negative 7. Do you see that? Positive 2 and negative 7 is negative 5. We don't want negative 5. We want positive 5. We want positive 5. So clearly, we need to swap around these signs. Not that arrow, but these signs. That's unfortunate. So that's what we need to do here. And now we have two numbers that will multiply to negative 14, but add to positive 5. Let's look at the next example. So we look at the number 30, and we say that that is either 3, that could be 3 and 10, or it could be 15 and 2, or it could be, I don't know what else it could be, 30 and 1, right? So these are all our options. Okay, so, go. So we have 3 and 10, 15 and 2, or 30 and 1. So when we make our parentheses, we have to come to a decision about what types of signs we're going to use, okay? We have to come to a decision about what types of sign to use. So what types of signs do you want to use here if it multiplies to a positive? What types of numbers multiply to a positive? Emma. 2 negatives will multiply to a positive, or 2 positives. So clearly it can't be a negative times a positive because that would multiply to a negative, which makes no sense whatsoever because we need a positive 30. So it's a negative and a positive. Now the question becomes where do we put the 15 and the 2 or the 3 and the 10? Whatever's going on here. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have put 2 negatives here. So what do we want to do? Is it 3 and 10 or is it 15 and 2? What do you think? Madison. 3 and 10. So negative 3 and negative 10. So let's just talk about it. Negative 3 times negative 10 equals positive 30, which is, in fact, this number right here. Okay? And now I'm going to say, okay, well, hey, negative 3 plus negative 10 equals negative 13, which is this number right here. And that makes this our answer. Do we feel okay about that? It's a good question. The reason that 15 and 2 cannot work here, and this is a tricky one, okay, is if you put 15 and 2 in here, okay, what types of signs do you need, Jack, to make it work? You need a positive and a negative. So you need a positive 2 and a negative 15, correct? What happens when you multiply negative 15 times positive 2? You get negative 30. Doesn't satisfy what we needed, right? So it cannot be 15 and 2 for that reason, which is a very typical mistake. It's a very common issue, okay? Are there other questions? Okay. We're going to wrap the video up there. So thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed how to factor with some negatives. It's all about breaking it down into parts, thinking about signs, and then checking to make sure it multiplies to the final number, whether that's negative or positive, and adds to the middle number, whether that's negative or positive. Does that make sense? Okay, so we will catch you later. Passeri out.